Hi, everyone. Welcome to another one of CCA's interview, which is a part of our outreach series. If you don't know by now, my name is Aaliyah. I'm currently a CCA intern and attend St. Peter's University in Jersey City, New Jersey. As you probably already know, this will be my third year as a bio major at St. Peter's. I mentioned previously that my goal is to become a craniofacial surgeon. And as I mentioned before, I too have a facial difference that came with a long road of surgeries, therapies, and a lot of rehabilitation. But it never stopped me from achieving any of my goals. So I am joined today by Peter Dankelson. Yes.
Hello.
Peter, Peter is a musician and motivational speaker at Peace Diaries, where he amplifies positivity and self acceptance through music, storytelling, and humor. He's 21 years old and undergone 37 surgeries to correct birth defects from Goldenhar Syndrome. His passion is playing blues and classic rock on electric guitar. Today we are going to learn more about Pete's journey on being a true rock star, as well as his craniofacial difference. Welcome, Peter. Thank you for being on here.
Thanks for having me. No, it's really good to be here.
And sharing your time with us. How are you today?
Doing good. Doing really good.
Yes, I'm so excited for this interview.
Mhm.
So, would you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
I mean, you kind of hit everything in the intro there. So, in case you didn't hear, my name's Peter Dankelson, 21 years old. I live around the Chicago area. Was born with a rare condition, Goldenhar Syndrome. The 37 surgeries and all of that. That's basically been to help, breathe easier. And with Goldenhar, I have, one of the things is my crochet, so missing a left ear. Kind of a package deal with Goldenhar. Yeah.
Same thing. I was born with Goldenhar syndrome too. I got over 30 surgeries done.
Mhm.
Ear, everything. Got my ear done, everything. So I know the whole process.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had an airway reconstruction surgery in 2019, jaw surgeries, lots of fun stuff, right?
Yeah, still going through it. I know I have my jaw surgery coming up and all this.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, I had that done a couple of years ago. That was fun. I think I'm finally out of the woods with all of my stuff
really,
um, for now. So I'm kind of like, well, there's always going to be something, but I think like the big stuff, that you kind of hear. I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's kind of like you hear about growing up. You hear about, oh, he's going to have this procedure, this surgery, and all that. And it's like I think I'm finally done with all those. So it's just kind of like whatever pops up at the time. It's yeah, but nothing kind of major. I hope.
right, because I had the big jaw surgery. I'm
Mhm.
like scared, but like I'm so ready for it to be over because this is my last surgery ever.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I
Yeah,
know exactly what you mean.
we're like, oh, I'm so ready to be doing it. But
Mhm.
anyways, I see like you're so big on social media. You're like the amazing musician I've ever seen. Like you're so good on electric guitar. Like I would have to
Thank you.
like you're playing on these concerts. I'm like, oh my god, it's like I'm meeting a real life rock star. Like this is so I would love to know like how did you get started? Like what first got you into music?
Well, it's kind of interesting because when I first picked up the guitar, it was kind of a whole turning point in my life. At that time, basically, it was in between. What was it? It was right before I started high school, so graduated middle school in eighth grade and all that. But I also lived in Michigan at the time. I lived there for my whole almost 50 years up until that point, and then we moved from Michigan to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Before I started high school. So that kind of transition from my life. And, having a facial difference too, I was kind of nervous because, I'd grown up in this area my whole life. Everybody kind of knew who I was. I'd gone to school, I
Right.
went to a really small school and everyone knew who I was, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a whole nerve wracking transition. You're starting high school, which is kind of scary.
Right.
Not, it wasn't scary, but you're just kind of nervous about that, with what's going to happen there. having to kind of move on. But, you know, moving into a whole new state, not knowing anybody, it's kind of like, what's going on? So kind of with all those emotions, music was a fantastic escape for me at that time, just to kind of like decompress and relax a little bit. So I started to listen to a little bit more rock and roll. So kind of, you know, just, you know, because in middle school, I was listening to everything that was on the radio at the time and having fun with all my friends in middle school. And, you know, kind of when I moved, I kind of started to dive a bit more into the classic rock stuff and started to that a little bit more. And then it just kind of boiled over for pretty much all of freshman year. That's kind of how it was. And then at the end of the year in the spring, it just kind of boiled over. And I said to my dad one night, I'm like, you know what? I think it might be fun to learn how to play electric guitar, just kind of randomly.
Yeah.
And lucky for me, he has, you know, he had a guitar and an amp and little distortion pedal and all that because he played in high school. So it was just kind of like, well, lucky for you, you know, I have all this stuff in storage. So he pulled all this stuff out and was showing me it. And then I really went on YouTube and just started learning stuff from there. And, you know, been going strong ever since, been obsessed ever since, basically. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
For the most part. Yeah. Yeah. I did do some lessons at a local school of rock for a little, but for the most part, I pretty much taught myself.
That's incredible. Oh my God. So how did you get started online, like with all this, you know, getting, you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's really overwhelming because there's so much stuff out there, you know, with lessons and all that. But really, it's just kind of like you have to take it one thing at a time. Like, you know, you learn the name of the strings and you start learning some of the basic chords. And you start to learn some of your favorite songs. And, you know, you can kind of start building off of stuff like that. And kind of, I don't know, you just kind of figure stuff out the more you go along, the more you keep messing around with it.
Right. Yeah. Right. What was the first song you ever learned how to play on the electric guitar?
The first tune I ever learned how to play with proper chords that I remember. It's a bit of an AC/DC kind of hidden gem. It's a great tune. It's a song called Live Wire. It's off of their first album. And that was fun too, because the chords were pretty easy to play. But there's a little solo break that happens before the main solo. There's like a little breakdown riff that happened. And I could kind of pick it out, or, you know, I found a video and could kind of see what was going on. And I started playing that little lick over and over and over. And then I remember I kept playing it. And, you know, at one point, Mom came down. She's like, could you maybe, you know, play something else or learn something else? Because that was like the only little leak thing I knew how to do. But it was just kind of funny, you know. I was really excited to pick that up.
Nah, I could totally relate to you because I remember I used to play the piano. And I used to, the only thing I know how to play was Mary Had That Little Lamb.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
My mom was like, "Is that all you can play?" I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Do you have any influencers that like helped you, like, you know, inspired you to get into music, you know, and like try to get you in a category you wanted to fit in? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mentioned AC/DC in that song Live Wire. That was the first tune I learned how to play. So AC/DC was the band that really kind of kick-started everything for me. And they're still my all-time favorite band. The lead guitar player in that band, Angus Young, he's still one of my biggest heroes and inspirations. And I play the same model guitar that he does. It's called a SG. So that's pretty much, you know, he's always been like my biggest hero and influence, and songwriting too, you know, and just kind of the sound of his solos and riffs and all of that stuff. It's just fun. It makes you feel good. And it rocks too.
Yeah.
So, and I also love like Guns N' Roses, anything that Slash has done, you know, the guy with the top hat and the sunglasses. And yeah, I'm a big fan of his playing. He's a big influence. And a lot of the classic rock guys, Zeppelin and all of that stuff. So I really, really love that's the style I relate to and love the most. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's it called? I have a quick question. So I've seen you've been part of like really, really big concerts, and your skills on electric guitar is like insane. So I have a brother who is also trying to get into the music industry as well. And you know how it's not that easy getting into like an industry, you know, like it's to grow as an artist or a musician. So what I'm trying to say is like, how did you find or like get your foot in the door? Like, what did you do to get where you are now?
So like with social media and all that?
Oh, yeah, social media and like as a musician, like how did you grow to become like as popular as you are now?
Well, it was interesting because with social media, Pete's Diary, it was originally a Pete's Diary. Kind of to make a long story short, I guess do, but it's been quite a while. I do motivational speaking, and basically, I would, when well, COVID kind of put a stop to it for a little while, but we'd like to get back into it. But basically, with Pete's Diary and all the stuff on social media, it started out as we'd go and talk to kids about kind of my life and just kind of like how maybe my life story can help others, and it's kind of a whole long history there. But we used to go in and talk to kids, these middle schools. I'd bring the guitar and play for them and all that. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But then when COVID kind of happened, it kind of put all that stuff to a stop for for quite a while. So it was kind of like, well, there's nothing to do. So I just kind of was playing guitar all the time, and like, well, let's just start posting videos. And just over time, because we're stuck inside, just over time, just kind of sharing stuff, stuff would kind of take off, and people, lots, some stuff, would kind of go big, and lots of people would see it. Like TikTok, that was always kind of the crazy thing with that. You'd see stuff, some videos would do good, some videos would do really good. It was just kind of like, you just kind of throw stuff out there and see what would stick. And then pretty soon, everything just kind of kept building up, and this community's growing, and it's just been great. And it's exciting to see that lots of people have really been, liking what I do and really digging it. And so we kind of tied the motivation from, the speaking and putting the music together and all that. It's just been a lot of fun. And it seems like people are really digging it. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, most definitely. I loved it. Oh my God. So you said you started with motivational speaking. Like, what made you want to start getting into motivational speaking? What made you want to share your story?
Yeah, well, it all started, basically, I don't quite remember it, but when I was really little, Mom would go to the Children's Hospital in Michigan sometimes. I forget exactly what it was. I can't quite remember. But she would talk to, um, I can't quite remember if it was medical students, but she would kind of speak there a little bit to doctors. I guess kind of about, maybe, I can't quite remember. I was so little, but I think it was kind of a parent perspective thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd go along and just kind of, I don't know, say some stuff. I was really little, just kind of like, you say like, well, Peter, what did you think of such and such, such procedure, or like, how'd you feel, or something. Can't quite remember. So like, it wasn't quite like what it would become, but there was like a little bit of experience there.
Right.
But the whole thing really kind of kickstarted when the book Wonder came out. Because that was huge for the the craniofacial community.
Yeah.
When I read the book, it really kind of changed my life. And then the whole speaking thing started. We went out to California. Basically, I got to do this. It was like a staged reading performance of some excerpts of the book. And one of our really good CCA family friends that was out in California, we were staying with them.
Wow.
And he got us into, he said, oh, I can't quite remember exactly how it got set up.
Yeah.
But he wanted, I can't remember if he reached out to the middle school or if the middle school reached out. I can't quite remember. But we went to this middle school, and basically at that point we talked about, basically I brought that, the story to life, and kind of talked about how I was like a real life version of Augie. Kind of compared my life to Augie's, and some of the things that were a bit different with Wonder, but kind of bringing that story to life, and kind of answering kids' questions and stuff. And that's really how it started for a long time. And then when we went back home, word of mouth just kind of went around to some of the local schools, and we would go in and talk to them kind of about the same thing with Wonder. And that's how it was for a really long time. And then just kind of over time, it kind of evolved into me sharing my story a bit more, just kind of like my own story. And then, like I said earlier, the music kind of tied into it. It kind of became a blend of the music and motivation. So that's kind of how it's evolved from there. Yeah.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, it's been a really cool kind of ongoing thing. Yeah, it's really neat.
I love this journey for you, because I remember the first time I saw Wonder, say like in middle school. Oh, say middle school? Yeah, middle school. And during that time, like I was like going through it, like, you know, like still like I would say like I was in that phase, like still like ashamed of, you know, what I look like and, you know, all that. So like I was even ashamed of even watching the movie. So when I watched the movie with my parents, I feel like it really changed my perspective because like it finally felt like somebody understood me and like
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. It was so cool because I mean, basically, you know, with CCA and all that, you know, seeing all these families, you know, it was so exciting. Just for it was exciting for me as I know it was as it was exciting for them, and seeing how excited everybody was. It was such a great thing for the, you know, the craniofacial community. It was awesome. It was really really cool.
it really did like it really did like, you know, like I can't even explain it, but yeah.
I I know exactly what you mean though. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think after watching that movie and everything, like I finally found my purpose. Like I want to be an advocate for
Yeah.
kids
Yeah.
like me who, you know, for with deformity and all this stuff. So totally understand. Yeah. My next question is for you I see that you have a band?
Yes.
Peter,
Yeah. Yeah.
tell me more about it. I would love to know about your band.
Yeah, so basically, it's a three-piece band. We're called, you know, the Peter Dankelson Band, and we've been having. Let's see, we all met each other through a. Do you know what the School of Rock is? There's the movie School of Rock,
With
but there's
Jack Black.
yes, yep, yeah. It's kind of based off of that movie, but basically, you know, there's it kind of became a franchise, and so there's schools of rock kind of all over the country,
Yeah.
and there's some international schools too. But basically, about a year after I started playing, there was a school of rock that opened up close by in a you know where we live, and it was great because I started taking lessons there. That's where I started to take like because I've been kind of practicing on my own at that point. And then I started taking lessons, guitar lessons there. And then that was the first time I started playing with a band and, you know, performing with all that. So it was a fantastic thing, you know, for the next step. And as a musician, it was a great thing to kind of take that next step into performing and all of this stuff. So it was awesome. But basically, Mac, he's a you know a good buddy of mine in the band. He does the lead vocals and he plays bass guitar.
Yeah.
Uh, so we know. We've been friends for a long time, and we knew each other through that. And then Ryan was actually he plays drums. He was actually the drum instructor there. He taught drums there for quite a few years. And then when COVID hit, basically me and Ryan basically it was just kind of me and Ryan for about a year, I think, just kind of jamming with each other because it was like when COVID hit, it was kind of like, well, it was, yeah, I can't quite remember when it exactly happened, but we started talking about jamming together. And then I think COVID happened. And then I don't know, because I started to kind of dig into writing a bit more. Then me and Ryan would get together and I kind of have, you know, some of these ideas and we jam them and stuff. And this kind of went on for a year. So we had a bunch of ideas and stuff. It's kind of like that whole time. It's like, who's going to sing? Who's going to, you know, play bass? We still got to try and figure this out. And then Mac got involved with the bass and lead vocals. And we spent the whole like last summer writing and all that. And then in the fall, we recorded our debut EP. And then we just released that in the spring. It's called All Screwed Up. And that's been really fun to kind of, you know, we've been playing live and all that and kind of playing some originals. And I think hopefully we're going to start to write again soon because we've had a long list of shows. So that's been really fun. And then we actually just had a gig the other night at the House of Blues in Chicago. So that was a lot of fun. It was a late night too, but it was a lot of fun. That's kind of been everything with the band so far. We've been having a really good time.
Yes, I would love to come see one of your concerts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have fun. It seems like people are enjoying it. So yeah.
Yeah. And also, Peter, I noticed whenever you're on stage and performing, like you straight out kill it. Like you literally tear up the stage. Like you go on stage with so much confidence and like you come off so powerful. So my question for you is, probably not. Do you not get nervous in performance? Like, have you ever dealt with performance anxiety?
Kind of now it's just like excited, like adrenaline. It's like an adrenaline rush. It's like trying to think of how to describe it. it's like excitement. I think it's a combination of nerves and excitement. It's almost like you got to calm yourself down and just go for it. Or it's like I noticed that, like, when I hit the stage, it's like you're nervous at first, and then you just kind of ease into it after like a few songs. You're just kind of like, okay, I'm good. So yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. So yeah, that's just kind of where it's been at right now, or just kind of like what I've noticed with how I play. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, because like I'm going through a process because I'm trying to become a public speaker.
Yep.
And I would say my public speaking skills is not so, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like with anything on stage. The more you do it, the better you get. It's just like it's really kind of an experience thing. Just the more you do it, the more you kind of find out what works, what doesn't.
Right.
It's really kind of a trial by fire type of thing.
Right. So like when I'm watching your videos, I'm like, if he could do it, I could do it. Like be confident. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Like you're so confident. I love it.
Thank you.
My next question is, what's like the most exciting place you performed?
Well, like I said, we played the House of Blues the other night in downtown Chicago. And that was a lot of fun. That was cool. We played the restaurant stage and all that. It was great. Exciting place I performed. When I was in School of Rock, we'd go up to Milwaukee, and there's Summerfest up in Milwaukee, and it's like all these big acts come through, and it's a really neat place. And so basically, it was great for us because it was just like an hour drive, but all of from all over, the U.S. and even some like international countries, they'd kind of come in, and basically, all of these schools of rock would be in Milwaukee, and we kind of take over the rave and do like a shredding competition there, and do all these performances and play for your peers and all that. And it was great. And then like the next day we'd go and play some of the big stages, and then I got to be one of the people that played at the end of the there was like a big grand finale event, and it was like you're on one of the biggest stages there, and basically you'd be on, there are these different groups, and you hop on stage and you play in front of this big group of people, and that was a lot of fun. That was great. So yeah, Summerfest was a big one, and actually I got to go back there about a year ago, and the band Buck Cherry, yeah, great rock and roll band. They have a big hit song, but I don't think I can say it on here. But yeah, basically, I there's kind of a long story with how I played with them. But basically, their guitar player reached out, and he's like, "Hey, if you want to hop on stage and do the song with us, we're playing Summerfest, like in a couple of days." So, like, oh yes, I'd love to. So I hopped on stage with them and played the tune, and it was great. It was awesome, just playing for a big group of people again.
Right.
Kind of feeling that energy of playing for a big group of people with a really great band. It was a lot of fun. That was a really neat thing to do. So Summerfest was hopping on stage with Buck Cherry was pretty neat.
I can imagine like the feeling you get up there. You
play. Yeah, but it's like that's when you're a little bit nervous and you're like, okay, let's see how this goes. But it's like you just kind of make sure you're well rehearsed and then just go on and let it go. Yeah.
Has your facial difference ever affected like you playing or just like your everyday activities in general? Yeah.
Yeah, with playing, the big thing, of course, is the missing ear. Like Croce is one of the things with Goldenhar.
Right.
That can sometimes happen with Goldenhar. So I had, let's see, it was after I picked up the guitar. It was like a month or two after. I did the cochlear, what is it, the attract system. I did that. I had that procedure done. So there's a magnet underneath. Let's see, I'm trying to remember the layers. So basically there's a screw that got implanted in my skull. Then there's a magnet that's just on top of that screw, and then stitched everything back up. So basically there's a magnet that's kind of attached there, and then the sound processor can just kind of stick on and off. Right. And then with bone conduction and all that, it makes everything work. So I had that procedure done a couple of years ago, or quite a few years ago, like after I started playing.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for me because I mean, still, I mean, you know, with the missing left ear, I've never been able to hear things in stereo.
Right.
Like, you know, if you put headphones on, you know,
Yeah.
bringing up AC/DC again, they're a great example of kind of a stereo band. There's two guitar players in the band, and you'd have, you know, Angus doing the solos and his rhythm stuff on the right side, and his brother who plays rhythm guitar, Malcolm, you'll have him on the left side. So it's almost like it's funny. I mean, to other people, you know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is how it is. But to me, I call it like a music sandwich. You know, you got the power of those two guitars, and you know that kind of thing. So I found out there's actually a setting in my phone, in the, you know, on your phone, called mono audio.
Yeah.
If you turn that on, it basically puts everything on one, you know, each side.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So now I'm like, okay, now I can listen to Run It With the Devil, and I have to, you know, flip my headphones around and all that. Or if I want to, you know,
Yeah.
going back to AC/DC, you know, you have Angus with the lead guitar on the right side and Malcolm with the rhythm on the left side. If I just want to listen to Malcolm, I can just take my headphones and flip them around. So I'm like, hey, okay, I guess this kind of works out. I could do both. So yeah, it's kind of funny how that works. So that was one of the things with hearing, or you know, with my ear, that was kind of funny.
Right.
But the other thing too is actually, I forget the actual name of it, but I was born with no muscle in my left thumb.
Yes.
So you know, the right one, you know, I could do like a thumbs up and it can bend and all that, but my left one, there's no muscle there. It can just kind of go up and down a little bit, and
Yeah.
like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So some guitar necks, like there's some really chunky guitar necks, they're a bit uncomfortable to play.
Right.
And then there's some skinnier necks too that I like a bit more. And sometimes some people will use their thumb over the neck to hold down a note and use their, you know, free up their hand a bit more to do some other stuff.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like, okay, I can't really do some of this stuff. So I found some ways to get around it. But it's like it's like if I see something with the thumb, I'm like, oh no.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm like that. I'm like, that's one thing I can't do. So I'm like, like unless there's a way I could figure this out. So yeah. So yeah, that's kind of one of that's like the only like playing thing that's kind of stumped me, is not being able to use my thumb. But people don't use it that much. So I'm like, okay, that's just not too big of a deal.
right. Because what's it called? I remember when I was younger, this is when I didn't have any surgeries on my ear. Like I just
Mhm.
have the what is it called? The
The lobe, kind of.
lobe, yeah.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to get the procedure done with the what was it called? The magnet?
the Baja hearing aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I tried it out, like they put a headband on it. So I
Yep,
worked.
I had that too.
Yeah. So I tried it in school, and I'm like hearing stuff. Like I wasn't so used to hearing stuff on my left
Oh
side.
yeah, it's really weird. I remember the first time I got it, you know, wore it when I was like 8 years old. Yeah, it's weird at first.
It is. So I was so young and I didn't know. So I'm like, why am I hearing this? So I did not like it at all. So I was like, the doctor's like, oh, it's your choice if you want the surgery.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah,
like, oh, I don't know if I could do it because like it's different. It's weird. I didn't.
it is weird at first. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I didn't do the surgery, and like my parents were like kind of like not upset, but like it's your choice, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I just didn't like went through, but like I kind of like thinking back, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
the big thing for me with the hearing aid, when I got this one, you know, it got to the point where there's now Bluetooth, so you can. That was the thing for me. Yeah, for me, it wasn't the kicker that I could hear everything. You know, it's kind of like, oh, I'm like, I can listen to music, and I found out the hard way that you could take phone calls too.
Wait,
That was funny. Yeah.
let me call the doctor right now. Let me call the doctor right now.
But yeah, so like, yeah, if I get a phone call, sometimes it'll like just, you know, it'll pop in. I had that happen in class one time. That was really embarrassing. I accidentally had my volume all the way up, and I
Yeah.
guess I forgot to disconnect the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
And I ran towards the intro to Welcome to the Jungle. So I was being a good student. I was sitting in class doing my work, and suddenly the left side drops. You know, it's like a weird feeling. I don't know how to describe it, but I could feel like you could tell like when something's about to happen.
Right.
It's a weird, I don't know how to describe it, but like kind of stops for a second and then it kicks in. Yeah. So okay, so yeah, you know, Welcome to the Jungle starts playing, and of course everyone knows I'm such a big fan of, Guns N' Roses and all that. So basically they hear it and they're all looking at me and I'm just like, sorry. And of course, I'm like, who's calling me while I'm in class? So I hold up my phone and of course, it was like a, no caller ID or, spam likely. And I'm like, oh, really? But yeah. So yeah, one of the embarrassing moments there. But yeah, and listen, being able to listen to music was great too. It is great too. So that's a lot of fun. It's a nice feature to have. Yeah, it's handy.
My last question for you is, what advice would you give someone wanting to follow in your footsteps?
So like with the guitar or kind of with social media and all that?
Everything.
Everything? Okay.
Everything.
Well, I guess with the, with picking up any musical instrument, with the guitar, I'm trying to teach myself harmonica right now. So I'm kind of understanding what it's like to be a beginner again. That's like a whole other story. But it's kind of like, okay, it's especially when starting out with something, it's tough. It's really tricky, but just keep sticking with it and kind of keep going and trying to figure out as much as you can. Um, I forget the quote, but it's someone said, the more you keep messing around with the guitar, it's something along the lines of the more you keep messing around with the guitar, and I think with any other musical instrument too, the skills just kind of creep up on you over time, the more you keep going. So it's like you may hit a bit of a roadblock or maybe you stump on something, but if you just keep going with it, eventually you'll kind of play through it. So I think the main thing is just keep at it, and with social media, I guess, if you want to try and, build up a following or whatever it might be. For me, I think the main thing is be yourself. That's really important. Um, don't try to be something you're not. Because I think people can see that,
Yeah.
can see that and understand that pretty quickly. Um, and also, I guess on the music side of things, if you really want to get things going off really quick, play the hits. I mean, the first thing that really kind of, I guess, blew up for me on TikTok was Hotel California. Everybody knows that solo. Everybody, it's such a classic, timeless solo. So that did really well. And obviously, make sure you know it well, because people are going to catch it. They'll be watching, and of course, especially on social media, everybody likes to point out what you're doing wrong. So it's like I try to eliminate that problem completely. I try to, I really try and play it as well as I'm able to. Same thing, with Stranger Things. Master of Puppets, had a big moment in the show. The Metallica tune. So I was like, well, okay, everybody's going to be listening to this song right now. So I'm like, let's give it a go. Sure enough, that's like one of my best TikToks I've done in a long time. I mean, it really did well. So I was like, okay. I mean, so kind of keep an eye on, if there's a big musical moment that kind of happens in a big thing that people are kind of latched on to. Be yourself, and be exciting too, especially on social media. Sometimes some guitar players, they sound amazing, they're playing great, but sometimes they look kind of bored. I'm
Yeah.
like, I like whenever I do it, I always like to think I'm performing live, like playing like a live show. I like trying to capture the vibe and energy of like playing for somebody, and I think that's something else that people latch on to as well. It's like you're playing these tunes and you're playing it, hopefully doing good with it, but also act like just have fun. That's always the main thing with playing music. Look like you're have a good time. Yeah,
I totally agree with
that's
you.
the big thing.
Yeah, totally be like 100% be yourself, be confident, and do everything you do with a passion and just, own it.
Mhm.
Love that. But thank you so much, Peter, for joining us. It was such a pleasure chatting with you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was awesome. Lots of fun.
Of course. If our audience wants to learn more about you, where can they find you?
So on Instagram,
Also,
TikTok.
yes.
Oh yeah, I would think all of the main stuff. It's Pete's Diary. I forget which accounts have a dot and a dash with Pete's Diary, but it's pretty much Pete's Diary. You'll see the logo
Yeah.
pop up, but yeah, I don't think it should be too hard to find. I hope.
You heard him, guys. Pete, not diary. Well, again, thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing your time and your story with us. We look forward to chatting with you again soon. Quick question: are you coming to the CCA retreat this next year?
Of course. Yeah, that's in Minneapolis. Yeah. Yeah, Minneapolis. Yeah. Yay! Awesome.
I love meeting new friends and networking. So
just wait until you get the retreat. We had the first one since COVID in June, and it was like, it was like a big family reunion. And we haven't seen lots of us. We haven't seen each other in so long. You're gonna have a great time. There's so many great people there. It really is like one big family. It's awesome.
Right, and I'm so excited. This is my first one, and I know the community CCA is built like so strong. I just love it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. No, you're gonna have a really good time. It's lots of fun.
I know. I've seen pictures, everything. I'm like, oh, I wish I was there. But
it's gonna be great.
Well, again, thank you for coming on here and sharing your story. Look forward to seeing you again soon. See you at the retreat.
All right, see you at the retreat.